right, Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Let's start with one.
Back to the Future.
How do I get this disco?
Oh, yeah, this is funny. So basically what you have to do is you kind of have to bend this slightly and then like pull it out.
Bend the disc?
Yeah, you kind of have to bend it. Not too hard, but like a little bit.
It's gonna break.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so this isn't even a bit, guys. So this was actually sold to the public. This is one of the worst Blu-ray designs I've ever seen. I don't know how they managed to fuck it up this hard, but you have to bend it and pull it out in order for it to work. I have yet to open these because I'm always worried that I'm going to break them. It's one of the worst fucking designs I've ever seen from any Blu-ray. Do not buy this. It's fucking dog shit.
So we're not gonna watch the movie?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 80. Ooh. And it's only right that for episode 80, we dive into the 80s.
The 1980s.
What a crazy decade of film.
It's an interesting decade of film. What I mean by that is it is probably the most materialistic decade.
Yeah.
Because right after the 70s with the whole MPAA and like getting away with so much shit, for better or for worse, we got a lot of fucking jam-packed action comedy, you name it, films.
Yeah. Definitely, like, yeah, the 70s was more like these young independent filmmakers changing film, and the 80s was like the studios are back and they're making big blockbusters. It's the blockbuster decade.
Yeah. Oh man, and like it's so refreshing to see a lot of these films because it's like they still hold up. It was back when like the blockbuster but the independent filmmaker were just transitioning, so it was like two worlds colliding.
Yeah.
But instead of it feeling like a indie director working on Jurassic World, it felt like, no, Steven Spielberg already made a lot of great fucking films in the 70s. Guess what he's doing this decade? A lot more.
Yeah, with bigger budgets.
Exactly, yeah.
So I thought we could start by diving into the highest grossing films of the decade, and then going off that and talking about movies we like from this decade. Obviously, there's hundreds of good movies in the 80s. Like, we're not going to get to everything. We're not going to mention some classics. Like, that's just how it is.
It's too many.
With the 70s, it was the same thing. So many more that I wish we could have talked about. And maybe there'll be part 2 of those someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just get into it. Highest grossing films of the 1980s. Let's start with number 10, which is a weird one to me.
Let me see. Whoa!
Crocodile Dundee 2?
God damn it.
Did better than Ghostbusters? Like,
I'm gonna be real. I saw Crocodile Dundee. I saw the first one. I did not see the sequel or Crocodile Dundee Goes to Los Angeles. And yes, that is a real fucking movie.
what a crazy title.
The first Crocodile Dundee. Do you want to know what that's about?
I haven't seen it. Tell me.
Imagine an Australian comes to America in the 80s. That's it. That's apparently that was the gimmick.
That's it?
Yo, Australia. That's so fucking weird. And it's like, you watch the film and it's like, the only famous scene from that is like, oh my God, he's got a knife. It's like, that's no knife. That's a knife. And he has a big ass knife. That's
I've
it.
seen that. But like, you know, that's number 10 to number 9's Return of the Jedi.
That's
Like,
fucking nuts.
Holy shit. Like, why are these movies anywhere close to each other?
You know what this shows? This shows how much a sequel can get away financially.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
That's insane. So yeah, number 10, Crocodile Dundee 2. Number 9, Return of the Jedi, which is turning 40 years old this
Damn.
year.
That's kind of crazy.
We might be doing a review on the Real Talk podcast come May. Just saying.
Who knows?
Just
Who
a
knows?
little teaser. We might be diving into Return of the Jedi for the 40-year anniversary.
Damn.
I love Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Number 8, Coming to America.
Another classic.
Another fucking masterpiece comedy. Like,
Was that Eddie Murphy's highest grossing film of this decade?
of this decade?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Holy
was.
shit.
Yeah, and he had some movies of this decade, right? I mean, Beverly Hills Cop's number 12 on this list.
Damn.
I think Trading Places did really well
Yeah.
in this decade as well. So
Holy shit.
He's got some movies. Number 7, Look Who's Talking.
Oh, another not so good film that got away financially. That's what I
it's
mean.
a weird one, eh?
Did you see this one?
Look at this poster.
No, but do you know what the film's about?
No, I haven't seen
Okay,
it.
because this is one of Travolta's classics. This was before Pulp Fiction. This was his rundown. So basically, imagine babies that could talk.
Bruce Willis plays one of the babies?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Bruce, what happened, man? You were in Die Hard.
Bruce.
Bruce, baby. You were in Moonlighting. Come on, what's going on?
1989. Well, Tarantino is about to save both of their careers in
That's
a
true.
couple of years.
That's
so
true.
everything turned out fine.
It turned out fine. They were both. What are the odds? The cast of Look Who's Talking was in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
What history?
Number 6, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Fucking awesome film.
That is an awesome film.
It's fucking awesome.
I like Who Framed Roger Rabbit a lot.
This was back when Warner Brothers and Disney said to themselves, you know what? We'll be in a film together. We'll get Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. And I'm like, damn, that's never gonna happen again.
Yeah, that's a good.
In
That's a
this
good.
climate.
That's a feel good '80s movie.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely saw that one as a kid.
Oh, same.
Number 5, Back to the Future 2, deserved.
It's a sequel.
How
part
do you
two.
feel about the Back to the Future franchise? Are you a fan of those? I don't think we've ever talked about those.
I don't think so. Yeah, I briefly mentioned it previous podcast episodes. I love the first one.
Yeah.
It's a fucking classic. Part 2, I loved it as a kid. Watching it again, I'm like,
Doesn't as hold up as much as the first. I'm gonna have
No,
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to agree with you.
But I would say that part 2 people give it too much praise, and then part 3 people don't give enough praise.
Because
I-
a hot take.
I think look, part 3 is not that bad. All right, people. Okay, people are like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. I'm like, okay, well, part 2 was not great. It wasn't great.
Yeah, I don't think part 3 is great, but I think it's similar to part. Like, it's not
Yeah.
that much better than part 2.
I put it the same
worse
quality.
than part 2. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
similar qualities. What I'm trying to get at, for
Which
sure.
makes sense because they were both filming at the same time, hence very similar script beats. And I always fucking hated. All right, the one thing I hated about part 2 and 3 that they brought was Marty McFly and the chicken. Like, what are you, chicken? I'm like,
Yeah.
what the? You're making him look like a dumbass.
doesn't hold up.
But that's yeah.
But I mean, Marty McFly's legendary.
He is.
The shoes are legendary.
Yeah.
The pop culture that came with Back to the Future is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
And like you said, it was like the
Materialistic
age, and it shows in that movie.
Oh yeah. Well, guaranteed. Like I'd say the top 10 of all these films, guaranteed, had cereal to their name. E.T.
Mhm.
cereal, Indiana Jones cereal. I can fucking see it.
For sure.
But,
I'd love to eat some ET cereal.
Same. Fucking probably tastes good.
Number 4, Rain Man.
That's another film that I recently watched. Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman. Yeah.
This one I gotta see because I hear really good things about this movie.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. It's about Tom Cruise and his older brother who has I think he's autistic in the film, and he has to go on a road trip with him to do something. It's one of those road trip films.
How does that one make it to number 4 in the decade? It must have had good marketing.
Yeah,
That's an interesting one, right? Like,
because a lot of a film like this, I doubt it would make that much money today.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't do very well today.
No, yeah, I don't think it's the greatest film ever. I don't think it's Dustin Hoffman or Tom Cruise's best performance, but
Mhm.
it's such a weird signature at the time. Like if you watch the film, it's like very 80s,
Right.
very styly, very like I don't know the way it's shot, but
Yeah,
number 4.
there's a lot of '80s movies that don't hold up stylistically.
yeah,
Some of them have this like evergreen nostalgic kind of like I don't know. The '80s is like I watch some '80s films and I'm like nostalgic for them, even though I wasn't born in that era. Like they just
Yeah.
have these really nice, comforting vibes. And I think it's because my dad kind of grew up in my dad was a '70s kid baby, right? So
yeah,
he watched a lot of these '80s movies and showed them to me as
Oh,
as a kid.
same.
So I feel like I did kind of grow up with these '80s movies, even though I didn't grow up in the '80s.
I agree too. My dad was the same. Like I got introduced to like Chevy Chase films
Oh, yeah.
at a young age. Rodney Dangerfield.
Hell yeah.
frickin'
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor too. Yeah. He was in a ton of comedy. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. They were a fucking comedy duo back in the 80s.
Hell yeah.
With Stir Crazy.
Hell yeah.
Dude, Stir Crazy, Hear No Evil, See No Evil.
Brewster's Millions, I got to shout out. I
Brewster's
love that
Millions.
movie.
John Candy films, because he was in that film as well.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, dude. I could literally.
What a
name
great decade for comedies.
Yeah.
For action, big blockbusters, and comedies, you can't beat the 80s, man.
crazy decade when it comes to that. Did we finish naming
No,
all of them?
let's do the top three. The top three are kind of at. This
Obvious.
is what you expect from the 80s,
Yeah.
right? Number 3, Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh my god.
Banger. 1989, banger.
Yeah.
Another 1989 film, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Ooh.
Banger. I love Last Crusade.
My favorite indie film.
Is your favorite indie?
Yeah. It's my favorite indie film. I know a lot of people do Raiders, but
Damn.
I'll take Last Crusade any day.
What do you like about Last Crusade more than indie? Is it the Sean Connery kind of?
I think their chemistry works so well. I think Marcus Brody, he's in this film more than was in Raiders, and he's so much more funnier. He's like, huh, you'll never get Marcus. He's a trained professional. No one's gonna fucking get him. And then it cuts to him. He's like, excuse me, do you know where anyone? And he gets kidnapped in like 2 seconds.
Last Crusade is great.
Yeah,
It's a great film. It deserves to be up here.
I fucking wish this was the last indie film.
Oh, man.
Every day I think about it and I'm like,
I
we
know.
have the 4th one and we're gonna get another one. And I'm like, damn, wouldn't it be so much better if this was the last one and the last shot was them going to the
Can
sunset?
you believe we're getting another one like next fucking month?
I feel like I'm in Bizarro World. I know, I don't think so. That doesn't make any
That
sense.
doesn't make any sense.
The title sucks. The Dial of Destiny. The Dial of Destiny? What is this, a fucking phone call? Like,
Sounds horrible.
yo.
We'll probably see it. I think we should review it on the Real Talk podcast. I think we should do an episode on Indiana Jones and when that movie comes out and review it as well.
If that film and The Flash come out the same weekend, I'm gonna need a glass of whiskey.
You're gonna have to sneak in a flask to the theater.
Oh, not that size of it. I need like this. I need a bottle, Nathan. We're gonna have to smuggle one in.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough weekend.
Woo!
Imagine that double feature.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing.
And then number 1, E.T.
Yeah.
Very deserves it. E.T. is a masterpiece of a
It
film.
is.
Steven Spielberg just kills it. Like,
Yeah.
he's just awesome.
I think E.T. as well. Like I think about that and how. Have you ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
No, I haven't seen.
I
Close
want to see
Encounters.
that one because it gives me E.T. vibes pre-E.T. So I'm thinking like, was that the prototype? What are you fucking smiling at, Christian? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he said that was his inspiration. I don't know if you've ever seen his HBO documentary Spielberg. It's
Oh
titled-
no, I really
self-titled
wanted to see
Spielberg.
it. Yeah, yeah.
It's great. It's
Oh
it's
my God.
fantastic, and it's really long too. It's like 3 hours of good interviews.
Nice.
And they go film by film and talk about his experiences with it, what his inspirations were. It's amazing. You should definitely see that. But
Definitely. Oh man, I like the Wikipedia too because it talks about various other producers during this time, like the infamous Simpson, Bruckheimer and Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson.
I don't know much about that. Can you?
So I'm not gonna go too much into it, but like these two producers made some of the biggest fucking movies at the time and made tons of money. They did like Flashdance, Beverly Hills Cop, Top Gun, Days of Thunder, like
Huge IPs. Yeah.
tons of films. And this was during the 80s, so there was a particular drug that one of them took a lot of. Yeah, I know. Don Simpson powdered his nose a little too many times. And a little fun fact about him, he holy fuck, it is a crazy story. He basically OD'd, and what they found in his system was unheard of.
Unheard of?
Like doctors were like, how the fuck was he still moving like past
Oh
this?
no way!
Most drugs they've ever seen. Like a person
Holy
could see.
shit!
That's the
80s
stories.
was a wild time.
It was a wild time, and Bruckheimer's still around. He did the Pirates of the Caribbean films. He's fucking bigger than ever. He did Top Gun Maverick recently, so he's been
Whoa, he was on that, yeah.
yeah. Well, he produced the first
He's
Top Gun.
pretty-
Him
yeah.
and Don Simpson did it, so he's been banking since the 80s.
Damn.
But yeah, little fun
That's
fact.
a cool story.
Little
yeah.
fun fact about the 80s that has to do with drugs. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought people were doing drugs in the 80s?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Oh my god.
Okay, I think we should start to get into these lists because I feel like we're gonna go off on some tangents.
Yes, because you made your list, and then I was like, shit, I didn't make mine, so I was on Letterboxd like, whoa, shit.
I want to do some top fives of the 80s.
Hell yeah.
I think I want to start with top 5 directors of the 80s
Okay.
to get a vibe of what the influences were of this decade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in no particular order here. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
I mean, E.T., Indiana Jones, two of the top 5 most important movies. I mean, Indiana Jones, he had 2 bangers
He
in
did.
that decade. Like, he deserves it.
No, wait a minute. I think they were all in the 80s.
All of them were, yeah.
81, 84, and then 89.
89, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Fucking A.
All of them were, so that's crazy. That's insane.
He made a perfect trilogy.
Yeah, perfect trilogy in the 80s. I got Tim Burton.
Okay.
I got the Batman, of course. Batman
Pee-wee's-
89, I love it.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice.
I
too.
love it. Beetlejuice has a special place in my heart. One that I used to see as a kid a lot, so I'll always like to go back to it. My girlfriend loves it too.
Oh, yeah.
That's one I like to watch come Halloween time. I like to
It's a
throw on some
perfect Halloween
Beetlejuice.
film.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a perfect it's a perfect Halloween night film. Like you just throw that on, you're eating some candy, kids are
Yeah.
trick or treating at your door. It's perfect.
Fuck yeah.
You know?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Scorsese.
Yeah, Scorsese had some good
I
ones.
mean, he's gonna be every decade we do. I might have
Okay.
Scorsese on the list.
Well, but what's your favorite Scorsese film from the 80s?
I'm gonna say Raging Bull, but I love King of Comedy as well.
King of Comedy. Yeah, those are early 80s. I think you'd really love After Hours.
I gotta see that one.
That one is so fucking good. I do not read anything about the film,
Mhm.
just watch it. That's all I'm going to say.
Next, I got Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
I mean,
This was his decade.
Scarface.
This was his decade, yeah.
Scarface, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Untouchables, and
Untouchables.
Blowout.
Blowout.
Bang, bang, bang.
Those are good
3
ones.
great films.
Yeah,
3 great films with his distinct style all over them.
absolutely.
Love it.
Mhm.
And my last one might surprise you, John Hughes.
Nah.
Breakfast Club.
John Hughes is the 80s. His
He deserves it.
Yeah, he did. Breakfast Club.
Ferris Bueller, Planes, Trains, Automobiles,
man.
Uncle Buck. Like, come on.
Dude, I have I recently bought it, the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on 4K Blu-ray with never before seen footage that they
that's
deleted.
sick.
It's over an hour's worth, so I'm gonna be planning on watching that. I heard great reviews, so I am excited.
Very cool. Yeah, he does. And my honorable mention, that was my top 5, but my honorable mention is Kubrick because Shining came out in 1980
Yeah,
and Full Metal Jacket came out in 87.
that's true. Yeah, he got some 2 classics.
Yeah,
during
it's
this
not
decade.
my favorite decade for Kubrick, but it's definitely those are 2 classics.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are your 5.
Those are my 5 directors
All right.
of the 1980s.
I'm gonna
I'd
go.
love to hear
I'm
yours.
gonna go right into it. John Carpenter. Come on.
Oh hell yeah, The Thing.
The Thing.
Escape
Big,
from New York.
Big Trouble in Little China. They Live. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, do I need to say more? I think that was his decade. I get it. Halloween came out in 78,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot deny that his career got fucking huge with his cult films, his box office hits. Did he have a lot of box office? Because well, The Thing didn't make too much money. Big Trouble in Little China flopped. They Live made money, so regardless.
What
iconic
about
films.
Escape from New York?
I think that made money too. He made a sequel to that, Escape from LA, which looks
It looks so bad.
It looks like garbage. But you know what? I'll respect it because Kurt Russell was still able to wear that vest after.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Savage of the 80s. for
Great.
sure.
I'd say Carpenter. My next one, De Palma. De Palma's decade was definitely the 80s. I feel like the 70s, he was just trying to put his foot in the door,
Yeah.
I guess you could say,
Yeah.
from a filmmaking standpoint. And then the 80s, you have the obvious ones. I love Dress to Kill. Dress to Kill was a very Hitchcock-inspired film. What was the other one that he did? He did another one. I think it was called
Haven't seen Dress to Kill.
Body Double. I think it's called Body Double. Yeah, I'm snapping my fingers like I'm doing jazz right now, Christian. Ba-doom, boom, 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 ba-doom,
Body
ba-doom.
Double, 1984.
That was a great fucking film. But yeah, the other ones as well that you mentioned. Robert Zemeckis. I cannot pronounce his last name. Zemeckis. He did Back to the Future. He did the trilogy. Fucking awesome. But he also did Back
Important.
to the Future,
Change the 80s, yeah.
Romance in the Stone,
Mm-hmm.
and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, he's Hugh from Roger Rabbit as
Yeah,
well.
Man. Yeah, man. I
pretty
think that was
legendary.
his decade because of the fact that he was able to blend this new advanced technology that was coming out at the time and make such an iconic, like, not just one iconic movie, but 3
Yeah,
during that time.
absolutely.
Love it. Love his work. Even if his most recent stuff doesn't come to par with the 80s, I still love him as a director.
What's his most recent stuff?
I think the last film I saw was called Allied with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. That was set in World War II. But he also made The Witches remake,
2016.
which didn't look good. He also did another film with Steve Carell, which didn't look good. Welcome to Marwen. That's what I mean. Like a lot of his films, he had that Polar Express career.
Bro, he did Pinocchio 2022?
Oh fuck that!
Oh,
Fuck that.
no way he did the shit.
Did he actually?
The shit.
I completely erased that from my memory. He actually directed that.
Oh, no, he didn't direct it. He wrote the screenplay and he produced it.
No, it says he directed it.
Oh, shoot. It does. It
Robert,
does.
what?
He
Come on,
directed
man.
it. He directed it.
How do you go from Forrest Gump to a shitty Disney live action or whatever?
Oh, he has some bangers after the 80s for sure.
Oh,
He
yeah,
did Forrest Gump, he did Castaway, right?
He did, but I'd say
He
the
did Polar
80s.
Express?
Yeah, man. That's what I mean. He did the Polar
Soft
Express.
spot in my heart for Polar Express.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
But I'd say his best work was the 80s. So I named him. What did I else? Oh yeah, John Hughes. Yeah, I put John Hughes on my list.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Because it was during that time where I don't know why he just reminds me of like the 80s.
Mhm.
Because even after, like, I get it, he wrote Home Alone, he wrote a lot of those films, but his work in the 90s doesn't come to par with the 80s.
I agree.
You know, especially Uncle Buck, John Candy. You cannot go wrong.
Kills it.
It's fucking amazing.
Uncle Buck's great.
And I think my last one, oh yeah, Spielberg. Yeah, I'd say Spielberg.
Yeah.
He helped out a lot of filmmakers during that time. I think his name was so big because like you watch Gremlins and it's like Steven Spielberg presents. It's like,
Yeah.
but he didn't direct it. That's Joe Dante, another great '80s director. Why didn't you put his name on? But it's because he produced it. Same with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. His name was all over that.
Really?
Yeah, which is fucking weird because it's like, I mean, he produced it. That's how big Spielberg was. He was a director,
Yeah.
and if you put his name in the marquee, it's like, dude, people will run to that shit.
They do kind of get into that in the HBO documentary, and he talks about how he was just fucking working so much that like
Yeah.
he kind of just fucked up on the family side and just wasn't really there for his kids and shit and like shit that he
Aw,
regrets.
That
but
sucks.
but yeah, he had the biggest name in Hollywood at this time, I think.
I hope he's doing well now.
Yeah, I
He's
think
at
he's
that
kinda made
age
amends
where
with
I
everything,
hope
yeah.
that he looks back at the career and also his personal life and, you know, distinguishes from the two. And, you know, because that's another thing about film. It does take a lot of your life.
100%.
Not a lot of
Especially
people.
If you're a guy like him who like obsesses over this stuff.
Yeah, and full respect to anybody that's working that much. I'm not even talking about the Spielbergs in the world. I'm just talking about film crew members, cast
Yeah.
members in general, because
Hell yeah.
that's a lot of time. Full respect there. But yeah, that's my list for directors. What are we
Let's
doing
roll
next?
into top 5 actors of the 80s.
Okay.
Because this is kind of the decade of the action movie star.
Oh shit, yeah.
Some big. You say oh shit like you forgot about.
I'm not. None of these actors are action oriented. Maybe one of them is, but
Really?
yeah, I'm not gonna. You tell yours. then.
Okay, I'm gonna start with mine.
I'll see how embarrassed I get.
Arnold. I have to put Arnold.
Arnold, yeah.
Predator,
Yeah.
Terminator, Commando, Conan,
Conan,
all of those.
yeah.
He was the action star of the 80s.
He's very quotable.
Yeah, he was the quotable guy.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I got Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell's so fucking 80s. The Thing,
yeah.
Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I got Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford kind of won the 80s.
He won.
Blade Runner,
Yeah.
2 Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and Indiana Jones.
And Indiana Jones.
Like, come on.
And even during that time, he was able to work on smaller scale films like Witness, which is like, you never really think of that. It's like, dude, you were in some of the biggest fucking movies.
Yeah.
And he's like in these smaller films too.
Although I don't think Harrison Ford is the best actor. That's kind of a hot take, but I'm not a huge fan.
Ooh.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of Harrison Ford, but in this decade, he's undeniable
Yeah.
in the films that he's in.
Harrison Ford, what I like about him is you can tell right off the bat if he gives a shit about the role or doesn't. I think we made that joke already, and Marvel's like, I'm doing Marvel, and
Yeah.
I sound like Joey Diaz. Joey Diaz. But with Harrison Ford, it's like you watch Blade Runner 2049, and it's like, wow, he actually gives a shit about the script.
And maybe that's why I don't like Harrison Ford so much, is because he's got too many movies where he doesn't give a shit,
yeah,
and then I don't give a shit.
yeah, that's
You know what
fair.
I mean?
It's post Return of the Jedi Star Wars Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
then-
get that.
Next, I got Stallone.
Stallone.
He did 3 Rambos in the 80s,
He did.
and he did Rocky 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
Those are some good ones.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
And then last I got De Niro. King of Comedy, Once Upon a Time in America, Raging Bull. I had to put him on there.
Okay. Mine's going to be a little different. Just a little. Robert De Niro I have on the list because I feel like 70s, you can argue that was De Niro's best career type of roles. He
I'm
did
going
a
to have
lot,
to, yeah.
But I don't know, something about the 80s where he was very versatile with a lot more of the roles. I think of Angel Heart. I think of Raging Bull. I think of King of Comedy. I think of those types of films and how distinct they are all from one another.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 70s, he definitely was still, like De Palma, putting his foot in the door and trying to figure out what he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis. I fucking love Rick
Oh,
Moranis.
like that.
Yo,
yeah.
I gotta bring in some Canadian stars here, man. Rick Moranis, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Hell yeah.
I fucking love the guy.
I love him in Ghostbusters.
He's so good. Harrison Ford, he was the big blockbuster guy of the 80s. I
Yep.
completely agree. I don't think he's Oscar material. I don't think he's going for any, like, those
yeah,
types of roles.
That's kind of, yeah, I don't know if he's the best actor of the 80s, but he was the guy in
Yeah.
the 80s.
We did an episode on him, Eddie Murphy. Eddie
Mhm.
Murphy, I'd say his best work was still the 80s. I love a lot of his roles
is.
prior to it, but like, I can't deny that that's what made him the big star.
It's
he
insane
is.
that not only is his best is two classic stand-up specials in
Yep.
the 80s, also his best films were in the 80s. What a
Yep.
decade for Eddie Murphy.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And last but not least, Rodney Dangerfield, man. Dude,
Hell yeah,
I don't
can't
know.
get no respect.
Got no respect here. Hey, what's going on here? I saw Easy Money recently. It was one of the funniest films I've ever seen. Oh man, you got to watch that with your dad. It's like such a
I gotta
dad
see
film.
that. I love Rodney Dangerfield.
Love it. Joe Pesci's in it. He's fucking hilarious. There's
Me and my wife only smoke cigarettes after we have sex. She's up to 3 packs a day.
I got the same pack since 1974. I don't know, Johnny. I got no respect. I got no respect there.
I have that on vinyl. No
Yeah?
respect, Rodney Dangerfield.
Dude, I'm
it's
so
amazing.
fucking jealous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, because we have so much more time, as
Yeah.
Christian has put it, let's go into our top 5 80s films.
Top 5 80s films. This was a tough list. I got a couple honorable mentions I want to read out too.
Go for it.
I'm gonna read out my honorable mentions quick. E.T., Raiders, Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a huge classic horror fan.
Yeah.
Original Nightmare on Elm Street. Johnny Depp's film debut.
Yeah.
I love that movie. There's some great practical effects in that movie. How Johnny Depp dies and gets sunk into the bed.
So good.
This was the era of the practical effects.
Yeah.
Practical effects at its pinnacle. Because in the 90s, George Lucas changed shit.
He did.
And then they did too much CG. Now they're kind of going back to practical effects. But
Yeah, good blend.
yeah, The Thing, Untouchables, Field of Dreams,
Oh, dude.
Karate Kid,
We're going for that.
Beverly Hills Cop, and Ghostbusters are my honorable mentions. But my top 5 are number 1, Scarface.
Okay.
This movie changed my life. I think it's Al Pacino's second best acting role of all time. Number 2, Raging Bull. Number 3, Empire Strikes Back. Number 4, Die Hard. And number 5, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's a good fucking list.
I love Ferris Bueller.
I had Ferris Bueller on this. It's an honorable mention. Let me go top 5. Back to the Future. That's a fucking classic.
Love it.
Airplane. It is still
Airplane.
It is still the best spoof movie of all time.
Yep.
Nothing has beaten it since.
It's great.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I love
Ooh.
the style. I love the effects that they do on that one.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in America. It's the best mafia film of the 80s. I'm sorry, Nathan. I know you love Scarface.
Well,
But
is Scarface a mafia film? It's a gangster.
gangster?
Gangster film?
Okay.
Mhm.
No, that's fair. Because Once Upon a Time, it's so fucking like epic.
I gotta watch that one again.
Sergio
Gotta
Leone.
rewatch
It's his
it,
last
yeah.
film. Went
It's
out
epic.
with a bang. And number 5, I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's my favorite Danny DeVito directed film. And yes, he has directed many great films. War of the Roses.
Haven't seen it.
Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. They play a couple who go through a divorce, but it's a pretty messy divorce.
I want to check that one out. Cool.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, nice recommendation to end off the pod. Thanks for watching this episode of the Real Talk Podcast. Let us know what your favorite films of the 80s are. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Brush your hair.
Peace.